Jordan Montgomery was a huge part of the World Series Rangers team in 2023, but is he really a viable option for the Boston Red Sox in 2024? Find out on today's Locked On Red Sox.
You are Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Red Sox, your daily Boston Red Sox podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Gabby Hurlbut, former ESPN social media associate, and also the current host of the Boston Balling podcast. And I am here to bring you the latest in all things Boston Red Sox, Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite feed for free. Happy Turkey Day. The day has finally come. Honestly, I don't know where this year's gone. I feel like 2023 has really flown by, and I'm not sure what happened, but regardless, I absolutely love this time of year with the holidays. I think Thanksgiving is such an underrated holiday. It's a great excuse to hang out, eat a lot of food, spend time with family, and watch football. I mean, what a great combo of things that is. I feel like it doesn't get enough credit. I'm one of those people that can't start putting up Christmas decorations till after Thanksgiving is over because I just need to enjoy Thanksgiving for the holiday that it is before I move on to Christmas stuff. I wanted to take some time here to just kind of talk about Thanksgiving traditions and favorite things that go with the meal. I love being able to wake up in the morning. I usually put on the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade to get me in the spirit of Thanksgiving and what it's for, and just really get myself hype for the day ahead. So I'll usually put on the parade, get ready, um, and watch it as I go. And then I'll go and I'll show up to my family's house. And now that I'm engaged, it's two different families that we have to do on the same day. So we go to my family for a few hours, eat the meal with them, and hang out, and then go to his family and check out the desserts there and socialize with his family for a couple hours. So it's a good way to kind of compromise and get both families in. But when I asked on Twitter what people's favorite part of the Thanksgiving meal was, I got some interesting responses. If you're watching this on YouTube, please let me know in the comments what your favorite part of the Thanksgiving meal is, whether it's a side dish, the main course, whatever it is. Every family is different and does different deviations of things for their Thanksgiving meal. Do you have any favorite traditions? Let me know in the comments that as well. But I left a poll on Twitter basically asking people, what's your favorite Thanksgiving dish? And the choices were turkey, mashed potatoes, stuffing, and other. And if people put other, I wanted them to elaborate on what the other was. So Ethan Smith at Ethan D. Smith 01, shout out to him. He is a Patriots fan and avid movie watcher, so that's pretty cool. I wonder what his favorite movie is. He replied to my poll and he said sweet potatoes with brown sugar, walnuts, and marshmallows. Honestly, I didn't even know that was a combo. Am I the only one that didn't know that? Because brown sugar, walnuts, and marshmallows is definitely an interesting combination of things to put on sweet potatoes. But then I thought it might have just been a creative thing that Ethan did. But then Caniac Lay responded at NC Caniac 42, replied and said sweet potatoes without marshmallows or nuts. So apparently that's a thing. And I guess I learned something new here every day because I didn't know that sweet potatoes, marshmallows, nuts, I didn't know all of those went together. So maybe I should try to have that sometime because I think it'd be interesting to see how that tastes for me. And I had a couple people put mac and cheese. I know mac and cheese is a common side dish on Thanksgiving. And I don't do it in my family, but I know families who do. I think it'd be delicious to add with my turkey. So that could be fun. I had a couple green bean casserole lovers in there. So it's a good mix of different dishes. I personally love the mashed potatoes. My mom makes a really good mashed potato casserole for Thanksgiving Day, and it's absolutely delicious. It's my favorite part of the meal. It's what I get excited about. And I also love the turkey too. I'm not a huge stuffing fan, actually. That might be a hot take, but I don't really like stuffing, so I don't usually eat it on Thanksgiving. But definitely let me know in the comments what your favorite part of the Thanksgiving meal is, because it's time to get in that spirit of what today's really about. Most importantly, I'm so grateful for a lot of things this year. I'm grateful for my family who really just has been there for me through so many things. Me starting this position with Locked On Red Sox, me, getting promoted within my job, me getting engaged. There's been so many things that have gone on over this last year that my family has been my rock and my foundation for. And I really can't thank them enough for all the support and what they've done for me. And my fiance, I am so grateful to have met him, and he makes me so happy, and I can't wait to be husband and wife next year. That's going to be so amazing too. And I'm grateful for all of you, the listeners of Locked On Red Sox, who make this show what it is every single day and continue to come back and get in on the action and talk Red Sox with me. And I really couldn't do it without you. So thank you for your constant support of me and my content. It truly means a lot. And of course, my friends who are just the absolute best people and are always there for me and just so fun to be around. So I have a lot of things to be thankful for this year. But what do you have to be thankful for? Speaking of things to be thankful for, I'm thankful for the Boston Red Sox. Even though they might not have had the best 2023 season and they struggled a bit to get themselves really on track, I'm still grateful to be able to be a Red Sox fan and watch them on my TV during baseball season every day. And I just can't ask for a better team to be a fan of. They're just so much fun. And Boston fans are just so unique and so dedicated. And it's a great fan base to be a part of. But the Red Sox did just officially announce Andrew Bailey as the new pitching coach. It is a great move for Boston. I've gone over it on the show. His knowledge of pitching in particular, since he used to pitch in Major League Baseball, is going to be huge for the Red Sox, a team that really has been lacking in their pitching department for the last few seasons. So bringing in somebody who has an expertise in that area and can really showcase that and elevate it from the standpoint of being the guy who can bring in pitchers who he really feels like could succeed here is going to go a long way for this Red Sox organization. I'm curious to see the types of pitchers that he brings in, because there could be a pitcher that's on the market right now that's really hot off the free agency and is somebody who can be a desirable pitcher for a lot of different teams that maybe you think could be a good fit, but Andrew Bailey might watch some clips on that pitcher and feel like he's not the best fit in Boston. So he's going to bring a different perspective to things in Boston and be able to showcase his talents in the pitching area and show people that he can take a different approach to that pitching staff, because they need it. The change was absolutely needed. Dave Bush is not the guy for that job. And hopefully when Craig Breslow decides to start making moves and bringing pitchers in, Andrew Bailey can really work with him on saying, hey, he's not worth it to bring here. And he can watch clips and maybe say, oh, I don't know if there's a way I can get him to succeed here. So I'm hoping Bailey can really work with each pitcher individually and elevate their successes and work with them on their weaknesses to just make them better. And I hope that it helps every pitcher on that pitching staff to feel comfortable and feel like they're maximizing their potential, because I didn't feel like under Dave Bush the pitchers were really getting to maximize their potential. So hopefully that changes with Bailey. I'm hopeful that it will. And I'm ready for that narrative to change about the Red Sox pitching staff not being competitive enough to be successful. So props to Andrew Bailey for stepping into that role. I have nothing but confidence that he can succeed in it. Coming up, I'm going to be talking about a pitcher that is hot on the free agent market right now and are linked to be of interest to the Boston Red Sox. Can he be a good fit in Boston? Find out coming up. Don't forget to download the SiriusXM app to your phone because you can actually get the home broadcast of every Red Sox game straight to your feed so you don't have to miss a single pitch. That's right. If you feel like you can't watch a game live because you're doing something and you're going to miss the game, you can at least listen to it via the SiriusXM app and feel like you're still in on the action. So definitely download the SiriusXM app today. While you're on your phone downloading the SiriusXM app, also subscribe to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube as there's very exciting news for this network. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows covering every league. Go to Locked On Sports Today on YouTube and subscribe to the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel. This is honestly huge for the network because Locked On has a lot of talented hosts, and to be able to deliver the first ever 24/7 streaming service on YouTube is a pretty big deal. So if you want to show your support, definitely subscribe to Locked On Sports Today. It'll make me even more thankful for you on this Thanksgiving holiday. And also, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Gabby Hurlbut 10, and we can continue the discussion that way for the purposes of talking about the Boston Red Sox. So lots to do on your phone, but definitely check out all of those things today. Jordan Montgomery just helped lead the Texas Rangers to their first ever World Series championship in franchise history. He was a key part of that World Series run as a starting pitcher. He had some absolutely dominant starts throughout the postseason, and it was honestly really fun to watch him pitch and put it all together to help lead the Rangers to that championship. Earlier on, before that run, he would have been of pretty high value in free agency, but not as much as he is now. His success in the postseason, I believe, probably elevated his value and teams' desire to want to bring him in for the 2024 season and beyond because he just looked fantastic. And if a team is looking to contend next season, they would want a pitcher like him who can show that he can compete on the biggest of stages. So Jordan Montgomery will have a pretty high asking price, I would presume, during this free agency period, but it was reported that the Red Sox are interested in Jordan Montgomery for obvious reasons. I mean, he's a great pitcher. During the 2023 season, he had an ERA of 3.20 over 32 games pitched, 166 strikeouts overall. During the regular season, he was definitely above average pitcher. He's not an ace by any means, but he would be a solid number 2 starter in this Red Sox pitching rotation. He started off the season throwing around 225 for his ERA, and then he bounced up a little bit into the fours, got up to as high as a 455 earned run average in May. But then he dropped back down and lingered around the 330 mark for the rest of the season, finishing with an ERA of 320 at the very end of the regular season. So he is the type of guy who can eat up innings and can give you a lot of value when he's starting. But if the Red Sox were to bring him in, I wouldn't want them to consider him their number 1. I think they still need to bring in a true number 1 starter. Cough Yamamoto, cough. I'm still coughing from my cold anyway. So if they could bring in a true number 1 starter and then sign Jordan Montgomery to be the number 2, I think that could make a lot of sense for Boston. His K percentage in 2023 was about 21.4% compared to a 6.2% walk rate. So he really doesn't walk many guys, which is a promising sign. And he can strike guys out. And that's why you want him to come to a team that has found to have had pitchers who will walk a lot of guys. And unfortunately for the Red Sox, their pitching staff has had problems with the walks in 2023. So bringing somebody in like him who doesn't walk a lot of guys regularly could be a really helpful tool for the Boston Red Sox staff. Also, what's interesting is when he was a prospect and he was coming in, he got a 55 out of 55 on the prospects report for his fastball, and then a 50 out of 55 for his slider and his changeup, and a 50 out of 50 for his curveball. His command overall was a 50 out of 55. Those are good numbers, and it shows that he has a variety of pitches that he can use on his resume. One of the problems I find with some of the Red Sox pitchers, specifically Tanner Houck, is he doesn't have a wide enough range of pitches that he can throw to hitters to make them thrown off during the length of his start. So that's why Houck tends to struggle when he hits the third time through an order, because he isn't always aware of the adjustments he has to make, and he doesn't always have the pitch to throw when he makes that adjustment. So then hitters pick up on it by the third time through the order, and then he struggles to get through it. So that's the type of thing that Montgomery wouldn't struggle to do, is that he could get through a third time in the order and still have enough of a mixed variety of pitches that he could throw to keep hitters on their toes. And he really did keep hitters on their toes in that postseason. He had about a 15.2% K to walk percentage roughly in 2023. And he was able to maintain this level of competitiveness while he was on the mound that made it hard for other hitters to hit him. He averaged about 7.92 strikeouts per 9 innings. So again, when you think of an ace, you think of somebody who does strike out a little bit more percentage of hitters that come up to the plate than him. So 7.92. So if we round that up, let's just say about 8 strikeouts per 9 innings. That's solid. If you can get around 8 strikeouts per 9 innings from another 2 starter, then that puts your pitching staff in good shape with him at the helm, because you know he's going to get up there and he's going to be able to strike guys out. It takes away from the pressure of him if he's not the ace of the pitching staff. He's not really used to having to be an ace based on the other teams that he's been on. He was brought in more of that type of role with being a number 2 or even a number 3 starter. So if the Red Sox were to bring him in and expect him to be their ace, I could see his numbers deteriorating a little bit, because there's a lot of pressure on somebody who's expected to be that top of the rotation guy, who is the best one in that pitching rotation and is really carrying the workload for everybody. So if he is that guy, he might not pitch as well. So if they bring him in into a number 2 type of role, which is something he's more used to, then maybe he'll absolutely thrive in that type of environment. When it comes to when he throws certain pitches, he definitely mixes it up a good amount in terms of when he's throwing his curveball, when he's throwing his fastball, when he's throwing his slider. And that's what makes a successful pitcher. You don't want to be afraid to throw certain pitches. In 2023, he threw his changeup about 22.9% of the time, curveball about 22.2% of the time, and fastball about 53.3% of the time. It is normal to throw the fastball more than any other pitch, because it's typically a pitcher's most comfortable pitch. And if you can hit 100 miles an hour with your fastball, a lot of times it's hard for hitters to hit it anyway. So it's common for pitchers to throw their fastball more than other pitches, but it's nice to see that he's not shying away from throwing other pitches and that he's able to effectively throw other pitches when needed, and he's not holding back on that. So that's a characteristic that I definitely like about him. He definitely could use a little increase in his slider, being able to perfect that and throw it a little bit more. But overall, I think he could be a good fit in Boston. He's a veteran that now has proved that he can step up on the big stage. So if the Red Sox are really interested, I'd like to see them pursue it because it could be really beneficial for Boston. Coming up, there's an outfielder who has suddenly emerged as a potential option for the Boston Red Sox. Could he work with what the Red Sox are going for? Possibly. That's coming up next. Don't forget that you can continue to subscribe to Locked On Red Sox and listen to all new episodes every day, Monday through Friday, straight to your favorite feed for free. Honestly, if it's free, why would you not start your day off right by listening to Locked On Red Sox? And honestly, some people do work from home now still because after the pandemic, the work situations changed. But even if you work from home, you could still wake up in the morning and listen to the show while you're getting ready to log on to your laptop or computer to put you in that right mindset before your work day. So I highly recommend subscribing, sharing it with your friends and family, and continuing to leave a review, leave some comments, and interact with me because it's fun to see what everybody has to say. Also, subscribe to me on Twitter at GabbyGirlBut10 and subscribe to the show on Twitter at LO_Red Sox. There's lots of discussion to be had there, as well as downloading the SiriusXM app. You can get the home broadcast of every Red Sox game straight to your phone, so you don't have to miss a single pitch of Red Sox baseball. And honestly, in 2024, you might not want to miss a single pitch because I think this team is going to be a lot of fun. So definitely download the SiriusXM app today because you won't want to miss the action, especially if they sign some fun players like Yamamoto or Ohtani or even Jordan Montgomery that we just talked about. So check that out today. I've said a lot on this show that the Boston Red Sox should trade Alex Verdugo. I don't see him as a future piece for the Boston Red Sox with what they're trying to go for. And I think it would benefit the Red Sox more if they trade him so that they can create more room in the outfield for other players who could be a better fit. When it comes to their outfield situation now, if they were to trade Alex Verdugo, they still have Jarren Duran, who plays outfield, Wilyer Abreu, Masataka Yoshida, Rob Repsnyder, who people sometimes forget about because he doesn't play every day. He's not as much of a regular, but he contributes so much. And then Cedar Rafaela, who also plays in the outfield as well as the infield. So some young guys in that outfield, but players who have shown the ability to effectively play in the outfield. So if there's going to be an outlier, I could see them moving Alex Verdugo, especially with him being in a contract year and trying to get some return on him. But rumor has it the Red Sox could be interested in Kevin Kiermaier as an outfield replacement, and it could be a fit. I mean, he's still a left-handed bat. The Red Sox really need some right-handed bats in this lineup, but if they were to trade Alex Verdugo, I could see them possibly going after Kiermaier for the outfield. He's been on different teams and he has experience. He's not the best bat. His batting average in 2023 was 265 with 8 home runs, 98 hits, and 14 stolen bases and just 36 RBIs. He has an on-base percentage of 322 and slugging percentage of 419. And when you look at his numbers overall, what he can provide from an offensive standpoint wouldn't be anything crazy that stands out where you're going to look at him and say, oh, he's a key bat in this lineup, but he's good enough where he can produce when he needs to, and he can play good outfield defense because he has a great arm and he's proven to make some great plays in the outfield in his career so far. And it takes a special kind of person to play in that outfield at Fenway. And if Kiermaier is able to hack that, then defensively, I think his contribution would be more than offensively. And I've said before that the Red Sox don't really need to prioritize getting strong bats. Like, yes, it's always nice to improve the lineup and add some more bats in there that can help provide some protection for Rafael Devers in the lineup and be able to contribute and get on base and get big hits when needed. That's always nice, but the offense is not the weakness of the Boston Red Sox right now by any stretch of the word. They still have some great hitters on the team. So when they go after players in free agency, they should really be focusing their sights on pitching primarily, but also if they're looking to improve their defense as a whole, Kiermaier could help solve that problem in the outfield. During the 2023 season, when he was, lingering in that 265 range for his batting average, he was striking out about 21.1% of the time and walking about 7.1% of the time. So his plate discipline could be a little bit better. He doesn't seem as willing to take walks. And although it's good to be aggressive at the plate and not be afraid to swing, you also have to understand what pitches you shouldn't be swinging at and not be afraid to put yourself on base with a walk if that's what needed. So I'd like to see him get his walk percentage up a little bit, because if a walk is what's needed for your offense, then that's what you take and that's fine. So I'd like to see him be a little more patient at the plate from that standpoint. His BABIP in 2023 was a 321, which is pretty good for a hitter to go along with that 265 average and 322 on base percentage. He can run. I mean, he has a decent amount of stolen bases in 2023, 14 stolen bases in 2023 compared to just 6 in 2022 and 9 in 2021 and 8 in 2020. So he had a big season on the base paths in 2023. So that could be promising too, because the Red Sox are always looking for players who can be mobile on the base paths. And they have some prospects who are like that in Cedar Rafaela, who will hopefully get more of an opportunity this season. David Hamilton, even, who was called up a little bit from AAA in 2023 to play in the infield, is very fast and can move along the base as well. Jarren Duran is the biggest example. He's Mr. Speed, as I like to call him, in this Boston Red Sox lineup, and he could make things happen along the base paths too. So there's a lot of players that the Red Sox can go to for that speed and moving along the base paths in the way that they do. But if Kiermaier can add some spark to the base paths and steal second base relatively frequently, that's a runner in scoring position that could help out the next person that comes to the plate to try and get a hit and drive them in. And say that person is a catcher like Connor Wong, who doesn't always record as many RBIs because he doesn't have as strong of a bat. Then if Kiermaier steals second and is already in scoring position, it gives him a better chance for an RBI. So there are things I like about Kevin Kiermaier. I also think the fact that he's been around the division for the Blue Jays and the Rays makes him familiar with playing in the AL East. He's familiar with Fenway because obviously the AL East opponents are the ones who come to Fenway the most out of any other team in the league. So he's familiar with that atmosphere at Fenway due to playing there as an opponent. So if he could now come there and play as a Red Sox player, it might not take as much adjusting for him to get used to that environment, because Fenway is a tough environment to play. And we've seen players struggle with just how intense it is there. And because Fenway is pretty small, being so tightly packed in and feeling like you're so close to the action, that might throw off some players. But because he's been around, Fenway Park and the Red Sox, he could be used to that environment. So I think from that standpoint, he could bring a positive asset to this team too. Overall, I would like the idea. I think, again, his defense is what stands out the most to me, more so than his offense, but that's okay because it's important that people play good defense at Fenway. So at the end of the day, it's going to be up to Craig Breslow to decide what he wants to do about the outfield, who he sees staying long-term, who he sees not really being part of the picture for what they're trying to do, and then go from there. But Kiermaier is certainly a name to look out for as this offseason progresses. Like I always say, keep the faith, go Red Sox, have an amazing Thanksgiving holiday with your families, stuff yourself, enjoy all the delicious food, and I will catch you on the flip side.